7038 in the village chambers located at 2350 South 25th Avenue. Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Present.
Trustee Tierney.
Present.
Trustee Jones.
Present.
Mayor Thompson.
Here.
Trustee Horn.
Here.
Trustee Abraham.
Here.
Trustee Brown Marino.
Here.
Mayor Yellow. May we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will have a moment of prayer. No? We're going to do a moment of silence. Okay, Madam President, next on the agenda is public comments. Item 2.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and move item 8A from new business up till now. Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Ely to suspend the rules of the meeting and move items 8A, new business, to current position. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, we'll hear now item 8A, new business. A resolution congratulating Lieutenant John DeLong for his service to the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Ely, seconded by Trustee Jones. Madam President.
Thank you. The purpose of this resolution is to congratulate Lieutenant John DeLong for his service to the village of Broadview. Trustee Ely?
Thank you, John, for your many years of service to the village of Broadview. We can't thank you enough.
John, I worked with you for many years. I know you're going to enjoy retirement. I enjoyed the years we had together, and we worked pretty good together.
Thank you.
Thank you for your years of service.
Thank you.
John, I've known you a long time as well, and I can't say anything negative about it. I think you're a great guy. You've done a lot of things besides being a fireman for the village of Broadview. And I really thank you for all the extra stuff that you've done on the side that everybody doesn't know about. So thank you for that, John.
You too.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
Thank you for serving our community for so long.
Thank you.
It's difficult to improve on what everybody else has said. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you.
So at this time, I would like to read the resolution to Lieutenant DeLong, whereas the village president and the board of trustees of the village congratulate Lieutenant John DeLong for 33 years of service to the village of Broadview, and whereas Lieutenant DeLong gave the village of Broadview Fire Department 33 years of distinguished service as a firefighter for the village. During that time, he also served as a lieutenant in the fire department. And whereas the village president and the board of trustees of the village desire to honor Lieutenant DeLong for his career of public service, and whereas based on the foregoing, the corporate authorities have determined that it is necessary and appropriate to congratulate Lieutenant DeLong for his years of dedicated service to the village and its residents. Now therefore be resolved by the president and the village board of the village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, as follows. All of the recitals here and before stated as contained in the preambles to the resolution are full, true, and correct, and the corporate authorities do hereby, by reference, incorporate and make them as legislative findings. The village board hereby congratulates Lieutenant DeLong for his years of dedicated service to the village. The village officials and staff are hereby directed to take such action as is necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution. Let it be resolved by the village board of the village of Broadview, Cook County, Illinois, on the 2nd day of April 2018, pursuant to roll call vote as follows. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely.
Aye.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino.
Yes.
Hearing that motion carries 6-0.
Congratulations.
trustee Jones, second by Williams, to return to the regular order of business. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Hearing no opposition. And now on item 2, public comments. Madam President.
Ms. Shirley Revere?
Thank you. I assume you want us up here?
Yes.
Okay, hi. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and trustees and administrators and residents and visitors. First of all, let me just say, thank you so much, Finance Committee, for holding the meeting on Monday. You know, I went home, I had some other questions that I would like to have answered, if not tonight, hopefully at this meeting that you all are gonna have to explain to us some of the definitions of how to look at finance. But here are a couple of questions concerning that. As we talked about fund balance, okay, assets minus your liabilities or whatever, I wanna know how much cash, that's what I understand. I know it's non-cash, but I wanna know what do we have, you know, that, not necessarily cash that we could, we collected the window, but what do we have in the budget or in the fund balance, so I know, what do we have we can actually spend, okay? And I wanna know, do we have the $2 million already put aside for the Bragg Drive project? I mean, is that already there from the surplus from the village square, or are we expecting to save that? Because I think I understood in 2020, that's when we're gonna do the major work, start the major work. So I wanna know where the $2 million is gonna come from. And then under item, 8D today, on the meeting, you all mentioned this, I think, at the finance meeting. You talked about the consolidation, 911, and Maywood. Okay, here's what I wanna know. Are we gonna own this renovation? Will Broadview own it? And do we get to rent it out and get the profit, or are we sharing it with somebody else? Are we sharing it with the, Maywood? I would like to know, because if you're asking us to pay for it, I expect us to own it. So, we'll talk about that at another time if you like. And then my last thing, you also talked about Groot, and I see AE is on the agenda, whatever contract. I'm asking, because I think you said you have, the village has subsidized the garbage. We're not paying the rates with the roll-off increase. Is there going to be a garbage rate increase? Because all of a sudden we had a 3% over the last 4 years and we had an increase in the roll-off. I think the residents like to know what's coming. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Revere. Mr. Donato?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have a short, positive speech that I want to make. Should take maybe 5 minutes. I know it says 3. It's going to probably take 5. I want to start, actually, by directing this to former Mayor Jones. I have an incredible amount of respect for you. You should take great pride in the Broadview Family Restaurant because you deserve credit for the fact that it exists. Previous owners of Marquis, all they did was literally about everything. You made me believe in this village, that this village was right to invest in and build a restaurant. 2 years ago, you suffered an injury. Right as the building department actually began to attack the old Marquis. I sent you a text and you told me you were sick. I felt bad, but I didn't understand how you felt. And I think at that time, a lot of people might have turned on you. Why do I mention this? 6 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor. 20 days ago, I had an emergency surgery. It was dangerous, it was terrifying, and there were a lot of things that could have gone wrong during that process, where I could have lost my voice, my sight, the ability to speak, the ability to walk, and I swear, I got exceptionally lucky. I feel, I'd say about 90%, but I feel a lot better than I thought going into that event. So I now understand what you went through. I'd like to spend about 90 seconds just discussing the item that you guys are voting on later. And then I want to discuss something that will empower the success of the city. Let me start by saying, Broadview Family Restaurant is beautiful. It is successful. It will generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax benefits to the city for years and years to come. property tax, sales tax, gaming tax, employment tax. We will positively influence the city for a very long time. Take pride in that fact. It could not have happened without the TIF assistance that the previous board voted in favor. The previous board voted to provide $375,000, and I agreed to invest $850,000. Ladies and gentlemen, I spent over $1 million. Okay, I'm not asking for more money. I'm just asking you to honor that original agreement that the previous board voted for. And here's basically why. I signed kind of an arbitrary document that allowed you to punish me by $2,000 a day. It seems like way too much if I open late. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be open for years and years and years. I opened 20 days late. It really doesn't hurt the village. We're gonna generate lots and lots of taxes for a long, long time. Those 20 days didn't hurt you guys that bad, in my opinion. But understand, the building department arbitrarily, fraudulently, and intentionally laid me on purpose so that you could charge the penalty. I disagree with that in general ability, but I spoke to my attorney. He didn't really agree with any of that. He hoped you guys would follow that original agreement. But ultimately, that's up to you. That's all I have to say about that topic. What I really came here to talk about is with regard to what I've medically went through for the last 2 months and how it will hopefully help everybody. First off, there's a couple people who work with this building that deserve my thanks, and it was a great process as I built that store. Unfortunately, they're not here, but Linda, who works in the building department, is a very nice, very optimistic, honest person. She helped me go through that process. I really enjoyed working with her. Mary, who I've seen work on both sides of City Hall, is a very nice person. Greg, who's the only licensed building inspector, honest, intelligent, positive. He's someone who occasionally was forced to write a ticket, but overall I respect him, and in my opinion, he's a great job. Fire chief who's here, I met one time, very nice person, very respectful. Fire chief, I think, is here. I've never met you in person. Something that fundamentally changed about me, I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 5-month-old son. And I work very, very hard. I can tell you, children are now very, very important to me. This life-threatening experience has fundamentally changed me, and I will always put children first. I met with our current mayor before she won. She discussed the library and everything that she did. And I didn't know you at the time. After you won, we had a conversation, you may recall one time, where you described how important the elementary school is. Children events, preventing drugs from ever being there, which police department, please, don't allow drugs to get to the school. And honestly, God, I trust you. Ladies and gentlemen, you might not even know this fact, I have businesses in 12 different cities. I know 15 different mayors. A lot of them, they're arrogant, they think they're powerful. Your mayor, ladies and gentlemen, is perfect. She believes in students. Support her. Work together and support her. You guys, I've been to maybe 15 of these meetings. You guys argue about things in ways that don't make sense. Support each other. That's the point. Support this village. Work together and stop fighting. Because, honest to God, it is very important that you guys work together and get things done and support the mayor. It's very, very important. Understand, I literally almost died. Children are the future. They are important, and they are the number one thing that I hope everyone focuses on. If you guys, or really anyone in the room, knows of a football, basketball, soccer, baseball, softball team, anything that the elementary school has going on that Broadview Family Restaurant or myself can support, 100%. Call me, call George as the manager over there. We will assist in any way we can in the future for anything related to children. We are 100% focused on helping kids from now on. With that said, had to drive me, so unfortunately, I don't think I can actually stay for this entire meeting. So just a quick summary. Please honor that original TIF agreement. It's fair. Broadview Family Restaurant is beautiful, and it's here because you guys supported us. Secondly, support each other. Support the mayor. And most importantly, try to make kids the top priority, because that's what will make the village of Broadview wonderful. That's what will make it better than all the other cities around here. And in any way I can, I will support that concept. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Donato.
Okay, that concludes public comments. Next item on the agenda, communications. We have none at this time. I'll make a few announcements later. Item 4, consideration to approve the following minutes. Minutes from the February 20th, 2018 meeting, which were tabled from the last meeting. Okay, it's been properly motioned by trustee Horn, seconded by trustee Abraham. Madam President?
Trustee Ely?
No comment.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
No comment.
Trustee Horn? No comment. Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Brown Marino?
Nothing.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, trustee Brown Marino. Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda. Minutes from the March 19th, 2018 meeting.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Tierney, seconded by trustee Horn. Madam President?
Trustee Ely?
No comment.
Trustee Tierney?
No comment.
Trustee Jones?
I have no comment.
Trustee Horn? No comment. Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Brown Marino?
Just that I was absent, so I'll be abstaining.
Okay. Roll call,
Okay,
please.
roll call. Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino, abstain.
Yes, abstain.
Motion carries 5-0 to 1. Next item on the agenda. Item 5, consideration to approve expenditures. Grand total of all funds, $488,493.61.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Horn. Madam President?
Trustee Jones, would you like to read the one list?
I will be reading off of the one list, the items there that are in excess of $2,500. AT&T, $4,455.85. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, $141,659.23. Broadview Westchester Joint Water Agency, $204,413.04. Business card, $2,542.88. ComEd, $5,490.30. Delgado Law, $31,035.80. Hancock Engineering, $8,305. FGM Architects, $24,000. Geno's Heating and Plumbing, $5,935. H&H Electric, $3,640. Lincoln National Life, $6,584.24. K5 Hodgkins LLC, $2,696.40. Marvin Wonderling, $3,295.38. Myron Stewart, $2,500. Ottoson, Brett Kelly Cooper, Gill, $2,808. Soil and Material Consultants, $2,655. West Cook County Solid Waste Agency, $6,018.24. Widgets Truck Center, $8,551.55. Total expenditures over $2,500 is $466,587.01, which represents 96% of the grand total of $488,493.61. Madam President, that completes the report of the items over $2,500.
Thank you. Trustee Ely?
No comment.
Trustee Tierney?
I have one comment, just one request. Geno's, when I spoke with the Public Works Director, and I think he had a good response to it, but how do we know, when one bill is the same as the next for the same amount of work?
Elaborate on that.
Okay, well, the work was he had a list of 13 different items, but it wasn't like exactly itemized in the little bottom number. How do we know that the next water main work is gonna be the same amount, or close to it? Is there a comparison to it? But I think looking at the pictures, it would like.
I was just going to say, every water main break is different. I'm not the public works or water guy, but in my experience, Chief Tierney, depending upon what size the mains are, and what size the piping is, and depends upon how difficult the damage is, or what the extent of the damage is, will determine the cost. Because what ends up being driven is the labor cost, and how long they're actually out there. So if it's a minor break, something big, but usually it's less, sometimes it's worse. Especially if it's difficult to handle or if you've got a major leak. So they're gonna vary in cost, even if the piping is the same size. And is there anybody from Gino? Gino's not here, public works director is here. Am I accurate or incorrect in my assessment?
Trustee Jones, I think you hit everything right on.
All right, thanks, man. But that's generally what happened for you.
Anything else? Trustee Jones?
I haven't.
Trustee Moore?
No comments.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Rob Moreno?
Nothing.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Ely?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Brown Moreno?
Yes.
Pay the bills and motion carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda, item 6, committee reports. These are for the committee chairs, starting with the building and public property, Trustee Brown Moreno.
Well, let me start by saying I'm very, very glad to see these microphones here. I was starting to look into that myself, and I tried to watch the meeting when I wasn't here last time and unable to hear, so I'm very glad to see that we did this. It was interesting at the finance committee meeting, we got some information about various things that are coming up with public property. I'm really concerned about how we're planning to pay for all of this. And I look forward to finding out, because I don't get any other information except what I hear at meetings. That'll do it, thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, water, drainage, and health, Trustee Abraham.
Yes, good evening, members of the board, mayor, and residents. One, I attended the Broadview Westchester Water Agency meeting. Item number 2, the city of Chicago announced the water rate increase, so we'll find out how that's going to play out. Number 3, I attended the police, fire, and civil service meeting, which is chaired by Trustee Ely, and I'm sure he's going to give a detailed report on that. It was regarding, and also Chief Hughley and Chief Kinney were there, and it was regarding our parking situation. We had a lot of good discussion as regarding how many parking spots are available, and I know Trustee Ely is going to go into more detail as to some of the additions and some of the improvements he's made and what he's looked at, so that we can make a final decision as to what to do on that. Other than that, also I do have one comment to make, Madam Mayor, to the residents. A few weeks ago we had Blue Melanati's announcing that they're going to be opening here in Broadview. So that's a good thing, and they did a hiring. So they are hiring our local Broadview residents, especially our high schoolers. So we have a few youth that are involved with the with Blue Melanati. So that's good to know. And then I also passed on to Clerk McGreer, 2 other businesses in town that are doing a hiring. Go make those announcements. So just want to pass that on. That's the end of my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Next item on the agenda, streets, sidewalks, and alleys, Trustee Horn.
Good evening, everybody. My report is going to be a little quick tonight, but an individual that is managing a company named Merit Screw Machine and Products contacted me via the website, which I was happy because they're using it and they're actively looking at it. So he contacted me about an issue that he incurred related to his front yard being destroyed or damaged as a result of a contractor we hired to do work for the village. And so I contacted Mr. Upshaw and Mr. Ames about the issue, and they were Johnny on the spot with it and got the issue resolved. That individual contacted me later to just thank me and thank the village for their speedy response to it. So I wanted to say thank you guys for doing that and responding quickly to it. I am going to be working with Mr. Ames, probably starting sometime next week or the week after, to get a hard date on when we're going to have our next committee meeting. There's a lot of information I want to communicate to everybody, but I want to make sure that it's valid and that I have the budget in place when I start to communicate little time. But now that we're making progress with it, once I get all that information and it's solidified, I'll schedule the meeting. And the next item is related to a new vendor that we have now brought on board, the credit detectives. I want you guys to know that the mayor or Director Ames haven't came up with an operational procedure just yet for how to engage with them and ensure that they capture the wildlife. It's in progress, and once we have that information, I'll communicate it at our next meeting. That'll be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Horn. Next item is Finance Committee, Trustee Jones.
Good evening, everyone. As you well know, we just recently had a finance committee meeting, and we discussed quite a few different things. The village status of financial status as a whole overall. We talked about fund balances, and I'm pleased to announce that we do have at least 2 or 3 nickels to rub together, so that's a good thing. Secondly, and probably most importantly, we talked about projects that are in the hopper to be done in the village coming up in the near future, are either already in the hopper being done or are planned. So to address my fellow trustees' serious concerns about village property and what we're doing, I need to caution the board members that we are here to legislate, not to manage the day-to-day operations of the village. And what we're going to be doing is just taking a look and making sure that we do the right thing for the village overall. At the end of the day, we had a successful meeting. Things turned out okay. We will be planning future meetings. Ms. Redmond mentioned early on in her comments today that she had some questions that arose out of our meeting, I'm sure, and she wanted to get a little bit more clarification. We will make sure that we address her concerns, and we will be scheduling another finance committee meeting relatively soon, and we plan to have these on a regular, consistent basis to keep everybody informed. That's it, Madam President.
Thank you, Trustee. Next item on the agenda, Business License Committee, Trustee Tierney.
Nothing new at this time, but if I could go over some of the projects we have already in place. One of the big ones is Target. That's almost complete, should be completed by mid-May. So if you haven't been in there, take a look in there. The place is phenomenal now. It's a great place, so check it out. Another one is Ashley Furniture is remodeling, and Buddy Car Wash will be doing some work. And also, as said before, Lou Malnavi's has started demolition. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee. Next on the agenda, Fire, Police, and Civil Service, Trustee Ely.
It's our Fire and Police Committee. I'm not a part of Civil Service. It's, but for the most part, the Fire and Police Committee has been meeting with the police department and the public, and we've been attempting to make certain changes to the parking code in the village of Broadview. No, we will not be parking on the street, but for the most part, we're going to open up parking in the diagonal spaces along Roosevelt Road, 4 feet, which will pay for the accessorial charges, painting up the curb, the signs, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't finished our work yet, and as soon as we can finalize the last few issues, we'll send it to the village attorney, we'll put it in ordinance form, and then it'll come before the board for either amendment or approval, or denial. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee. Next item on the agenda, item 7, old business. 7A, motion to authorize payment to Donato Restaurant Group from the Special Tax Allocation Fund of the Village's Roosevelt Road TIF District pursuant to terms of a March 2nd, 2017 redevelopment agreement, as amended.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Horn, seconded by Trustee Jones. Madam President, open for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This is a motion to authorize payment to Donato Restaurant Group from the Special Tax Allocation Fund of the Village Roosevelt TIF District pursuant to the terms of March 2nd, 2017 redevelopment agreement. Article 7, Section 10A of the Illinois Constitution authorizes units of local government to contract or otherwise associate with individuals, associations, and corporations in any manner not prohibited by law or by ordinance. I would like to address Mr. Donato. I thank God that you're still here. It's a blessing. And me coming on as a new mayor, coming into the situation, I was very considerate of the circumstance, and I knew that the community wanted a viable restaurant in town that we all could have a nice meal and have good customer service. And as you and I go through the months, we developed a pretty good relationship, an open dialogue, which it was transparent and with integrity and honesty. So I appreciate that and the relationship that you and I have built over these last several months. The previous board had engaged in a $375,000 TIF award for the project. And as we go through that, we had some considerations on looking at the timeline, right? When I came in, when you started the project and looking at the timeline and knowing that you could not, effectively make the deadline dates that we established. And we kind of changed them timelines there because I wanted to make sure that you delivered a good product for Broadview because we stand on the pillars of excellence in this village. And so you and I had a very transparent conversation as it related to that, on what you could deliver and what you came in compliance with. And we changed the opening date a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 times. And I know that you ran across some obstacles in the inspections and those types of things. And it was a new project for you, and it was a learning project for you as well. And I just want to say, you used the term, the building department did some fraudulent activities, and I have to just say publicly, I disagree with that statement. The building department have to uphold the ordinance that we have in place. We have to use we use BFI as our inspectors to do the inspections, and we've had several inspections, although you pull permits, but the village actually allocated some resources and gave you some grace and favor in all of those isms that came out of this project. And so that came to us, it came about that we had to put, we didn't want to penalize you, but I had to put something in place to protect the taxpayers. This is our tax funding that we give to businesses that's going to do good business in Broadview, and we have to have accountability. And I say it often, and I say it quite frequently. If I have to be held accountable to everybody that I encounter, that includes the people that I legislate with, the residents, our business stakeholders have to be accountable too. And we want to be mindful, and we want to have the resources that we need to execute a good plan in place. So it's not a penalty to you. It's good business for us as business colleagues that we have to. There's going to be some give and take about this thing. We want to, brand. Everywhere I go, I talk about the Broadview Family Restaurant. I ask my colleagues, my fellow mayor colleagues, come have breakfast at the Broadview Family, because now we have an actual sit-down restaurant that we can be proud of outside of other restaurants that we have, the Corner Cafe that we promote as well. So with that being said, I'm going to just let the conversation take place, but I just wanted to put it out there that I didn't agree with the word fraudulent in the building department because that did not take place. And then, that was it. And then the kudos to the team that worked with you, that you had a good rapport with Miss Mary. She is awesome. Miss Linda, she's very, she's really good. Greg working with you, and I don't think he was forced to give you any citations. He was doing his job, and that's his job. Regardless of how he has to do his job, it's not somebody forcing him to do his job. That is his job. He is the building inspector for the village, and if he's not doing his job, then he's not a good employee for the village. And I don't care how good or how honest he is. If he's not doing his job, he's not a good employee for the village. So he was doing his job, okay? Trustee Ely?
No, I have nothing.
Trustee Tierney?
No, I have nothing.
Trustee Jones?
A few things. Some of them you've already mentioned, Madam President. First of all, Mr. Donato, I certainly empathize with you, so I already know what you're going through, and I know how that is. But I do want to address the characterization that the delays were brought about by our building department, because I am personally aware that there were several changes that Mr. Donato brought into the village that caused some of the delay. So there's some fault, most likely on both sides. In every story there's this side, that side, and somewhere in the middle is what really happened. That's the first thing. Second thing is, Mr. Donato and your company, I think it's a great project. It's a great restaurant. I love the final product that we're looking at. However, in the process, there's certain things that compliance issues. And Dave and his office and Greg are tasked with holding people accountable to compliance. specifically with code, the building code, and certain other items. Most importantly, there's a contract that was in place, an agreement between yourself and the village that was in place. And in line with that contract, they're doing their job to hold you accountable for those issues. You also made a comment at the end of your statement that this restaurant is going to be there for years and years and years. And that the village is going to make all these wonderful taxes and going to receive all these wonderful taxes. At the same time, you're going to be generating revenue for yourself. So you're going to be making money in a free enterprise situation. So everybody's going to, it's a win-win situation at this point. I guess at the end of the day, you can't look at it just one-sided. You know, you have to look at it kind of even-handed. One hand washing the other hand, and that's kind of the way I look at it. You know, and I know that you had some challenges when I was sitting in the chair to my left here, and I know those challenges. However, after the challenges was when you made the agreement with the city mayor, and that's the agreement that you know, my concern is with. All the stuff prior to that, you know, doesn't really matter at this point. So that being said, those are the only comments I have to say. I'll continue to listen to the comments from the other members of the board and just hear how the conversation goes. Madam President, that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Holt?
I'm glad that you're okay. That's a pretty scary issue. So I'm glad that you're okay and your family's okay. There's only one gentle request that I have, and I wanted to know if your restaurant and you guys were considering doing anything in preparation for Memorial Day related to the veterans and the active servicemen and women within the town. So if you can consider acknowledging those who serve, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
I would love to. I can say the last 6 weeks, I haven't really been focused on the sort of thing. We've been doing a great job, but I would love to do that. One actual incorrect word I said, and that's related to this, was fraudulent. It's not the word I meant. It took a lot longer because it just took longer to get permits and my contractors to do the work. That was not the word I meant to say though. That I think it was actually related to what had happened. But no, I would love to support the veterans. I would love to support anything children related moving forward because that is, honest to God, my number one focus from here on out.
Thank you.
It's great.
It's good to see you, and I'm glad you're doing well. Better for you and your family, so we appreciate that. I also want to thank you for being part of our community and part of our family here in Broadview. To have that kind of a restaurant, and obviously myself growing up here and seeing the changes that our community has done over the years, from Cermak Road to what's going on Roosevelt Road, it is important that you are part of it. But it's also, as the mayor said, you know, what is good business? What is our relationship? You know, we have to hold standards up, just like we did when Ollie moved into the Chase development, to the Broadview Village Square, to Dunkin' Donuts coming in. Everybody had to go through that, and these were major corporations that were putting in, and they were tasked to meet certain deadlines, and they asked for village money because of tips or different things, but they wanted our support. So you have to understand on our side, as we live here, and myself who's been here for 56 years, and I have an extended family here, it's important that we want you to be successful. And we're gonna do all we can to support you, but you also gotta understand, on the business side of it, it is a business, you know, and we're here to protect the residents, and like you said, put out a good product. And as you can see, there's so much more development that's going on right now. I mean, who would have thought that a Lou Malinati's, you know, or we got Ross coming in, there's different developments going on all the time. So you're part of that. You're part of that legacy. And especially when we're coming over the hill from Westchester into Broadview, you guys look great. So I support that. You just have to understand there is a business side to the decision that's been made or the agreement that you signed. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Trustee Brown Mayor?
Well, first of all, let me say congratulations for making it through the surgery and your recovery. Very glad to hear that. I'm not nearly as enamored with this one as you are, and the number of the comments that have been made, I don't recall there being this kind of penalty attached to any of the other TIF recipients. Having worked as a commercial real estate broker with people opening businesses with build-out, I can imagine the difficulty on your part by taking a $42,000 hit from what you had expected in this project. And I will say, although I have not discussed it with you, I have no inside information, as I looked at the paperwork, the documents that were attached to this legislation, I was struck by how the dates of those documents lined up with the dates in the original developer agreement, and even the approval of the original developer agreement. It called for approvals that preceded when the agreement was even approved. So I apologize for, for what's about to happen to you, because I can see the writing on the wall. That'll do it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can. Roll call. Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino.
No.
Madam President, this motion carries 5-1.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item 8B, a motion to accept the village's tentative budget and to allow the village to make the budget available for public inspection. Item B, new business.
Oh, motion to approve? We're on B, right?
Yes, ma'am.
The tentative vote.
It's been properly motioned. I need a second.
Seconded.
It's been properly seconded by Trustee Abraham. Madam President, open for discussion.
The purpose of this motion is to accept the village's tentative budget and allow the village to make the budget available for public inspection. Pursuant to section 8-2-9.9 of the Illinois Municipal Code, the corporate authority shall make the tentative annual budget conveniently available to the public inspection for at least 10 days prior to the passage of the annual budget by publication in the Journal of the Proceedings of the Corporate Authorities or in such other form as the corporate authorities may prescribe. Not less than 1 week after the publication of the tentative annual budget and prior to final action on the budget, the corporate authority shall hold at least one public hearing on the tentative annual budget, after which hearing or hearings the tentative budget may be further revised and passed without any further inspection. Notice or hearing. Notice of this hearing shall be given by publication in the newspaper having general circulation in the municipality at least 1 week prior to the time of the hearing. Trustee Ely?
Is there a tentative date for the hearing?
Yep, it is.
It is. Now, the reason why I asked is, I got this electronically, about 4:30, 4:05, but I was walking out the door to come here to handle my business. I have no idea what's in it. It may be something that I can scream about, there may be other things that I praise you about, but I haven't taken a look at it. I don't know what's in it. I can't go any farther than this, and I was wondering if we were running out of time to set a date for the hearing or whatever. But you have no idea, no estimate as to when you're gonna try to have it. Do we have time?
We gave you that.
Before the next meeting, you gave us what?
We gave you the dates at the finance committee meeting. You need us to resend them to you? We gave you the dates to schedule for the budget timeline at the finance committee meeting. But I'd be more than happy to
They
get them back.
gave us the whole timeline.
You gave you the whole timeline?
The whole timeline was given out in the finance committee meeting, but
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
I just don't remember off the top of my
Well,
head.
I didn't remember either, but it's,
I do have my notes from the meeting. It was supposed to be April 16th. Is the date of the hearing.
Okay, so, hold on, Trustee Brown Marino, are you?
So we,
Okay with your comment?
April 16th, today's the 3rd,
Dates.
second. Okay, so the, next hearing will be the same date as our next meeting.
When you said,
Yeah.
Mr. Attorney?
You said the next year. There is, let me rephrase for you, section 8.29 8-2-9-9.9 of the municipal code requires the corporate authorities to make a tentative annual budget conveniently available for public inspection for at least 10 days prior to the passage of the annual budget by publication in the Journal of Proceedings of the Corporate Authority or in such form as the corporate authority may prescribe, not less than 1 week after the publication of the intended annual budget and prior to the final action of the budget, the corporate authority shall hold at least one public hearing on the tentative budget. After that time, the budget may be passed. Not only I believe that the actual timeline was set forth in the, I'm hearing that from hearsay, but at least I believe 3 members of the corporate authority are saying that the actual specific dates are set forth, but the statute itself makes it clear the timeline set forth there. So we can hold that public hearing. That's fine.
Let me ask you this, the two of you. So obviously the hearing is going to be on the same date earlier in the night as our next meeting, correct?
Once I do the 9 ordinance, we issue the 9, so that's all.
So then I'm assuming that the budget, approval of the budget, will be on the regular business meeting later that night.
I think it's a fair assumption. I'm not a prognosticator, trustee, but I think it's a fair assumption.
I like prognostication.
I can't tell the future, trustee, I guess that's my only point.
So then it would be good for the, if any of the board wants to weigh in on possible changes in the budget, to let their voices be heard too.
Well, the tentative budget was actually distributed sometime on Friday evening, I think, Mr. Cook?
I got man today, between 4:30 and 4:45.
That's what it was sent out.
Got it.
Yeah, so, I'm done.
Trustee Tierney?
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Jones?
I have nothing.
Trustee Horn?
No, thank you for giving us a tentative budget to consider prior. That's the reason for it.
Yeah, it's actually the statutory obligation for it, thank you.
So we have the information with the intent to review it, consider it, write down what questions and things don't make sense to us or whatever, and prep for the hearing. So that when we come to the hearing, we come prepared with information. So it's a good thing. Thank you. That's it.
Trustee Abraham?
No, none.
Trustee Brown Moreno?
Yeah, when I got this, I made a point to reach out to Mr. Hicks and Mr. Hood, because I pointed out to them that the same section of statute that Mr. Vasili just read from also says, and this is about the municipal budget that is created by the budget officer, the tentative budget. The budget shall contain actual or estimated revenues and expenditures for the 2 years immediately preceding the fiscal year for which the budget is prepared. So we're supposed to be and what we've always done, we're supposed to show what we actually spent and received in the previous 2 years so that there's a basis for comparison. And what we have here is last year's budget figures, not what we've actually received for this period. So that's the first problem I have with this. I have got to say, everyone here tonight, everyone watching us from home, get a copy of this budget, because you've got to see this. This is projecting a general fund deficit of almost $1.9 million for next year. And that doesn't even include some of these big ticket items that we're talking about, which is why I made the comment earlier. Now, I will say that I have read through this and I don't see anything in here that says that the village is supposed to accept the tentative budget in order to allow the village to make it available for public inspection. I would strongly urge Mr. Hicks and Mr. Hood to put in the numbers that are required by law, both so that the general public and the board has a basis for comparison without having to dig through all of our old material for those of us who have it. So, I also got this at 4:30 this afternoon, and I'm looking forward to going through this in detail because are you nuts? $1.9 million general fund deficit for next year? So, and I have no intention of voting to approve it because I don't see any reason for us to approve it, and I certainly don't want to give any sort of tacit indication that I approve of what we got, which doesn't even satisfy the legal requirements. That's all I got.
Trustee Jones?
Madam President, I'd just like to make a follow-up comment and a rebuttal. The first thing is this is the normal process. This is a process that we have gone through for numerous years. We've done this at least 8 years that I know of. So this is the normal process. There's a proposed budget, it's passed out, we review it, we have a meeting about it, and then we turn around and present it to the board for final approval. That's been the process for an extended amount of time. However, you know, and I want to be very, I don't want to make this personal, but Trustee Brown Marino, you are very hypocritical. You know, I need to let you know this, because you are not the budget officer, and you pointed out that the statute talks about the budget officer creating a budget. When you sat up and created a budget over a weekend, presented it on a Monday, 15 minutes before you and your cohorts on this very board passed it. Okay? We had a budget in place, a budget that was presented to be approved by this village board, and you changed it and twisted it all around, and you didn't do any of the things that you're asking our current financial people to do today. None of that was done. And you don't have any financial background, you don't have a CPA, but you created a budget. On the record, you stated that you worked over the weekend and you created a budget that you and your cohorts passed. In my sternest objection to, we ended up in court about this. And now you want to hold this village to a different standard that you don't hold yourself to? I got a real problem with that.
Anything else?
None.
Yes. Yeah, I have to respond to that. First of all, for those of you who are interested in understanding the problem with that argument, I suggest you read the court records. But yes, we have made amendments to the budget in the past, and
You created a whole new budget. You didn't make amendments. You did a whole new budget.
I'd really rather not litigate this matter here in public, but you may not have seen.
You have the right to remain
You may not
silent.
have seen the court filings. I don't believe we've ever had a situation where we hold the budget hearing. I don't know how we're planning to schedule it, because it sounds if we're gonna do it just before the next meeting, it's another one of these, let's spend
We've always
15
done
minutes
that.
with it. You know what, just go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So let me clarify some things for the dates. Once again, we gave the dates at the last finance committee meeting, so, and I'm just gonna read it in the order that, it was disseminated to the finance team. The budget officer must prepare the annual budget as soon as possible, but not later than April 2nd. Number 2, the tentative annual budget should be approved and placed on file at the village for public inspection by April 2nd, 2018. Number 3, the village must publish notice in a newspaper regarding the annual budget hearing on or before April 9th, 2018. Number 4, the village must post on its website or make available at Village Hall a list of the total compensation package of any employee making equal to or in excess of $150,000 by April 10th, 2018. Total compensation includes health benefits and other benefits. 5 ILCS 120/7.3, letter B. Number 5, the village must post notice of the annual budget hearing at the Village Hall and meeting location at least 48 hours before the hearing. Number 6, the village shall hold the public hearing on the annual budget on April 16, 2018. The corporate authority should pass and approve the annual budget on April 16. The village must post on its website or make available at Village Hall a list of the total compensation package of any employee making equal to or in excess of $75,000 by April 24, 2018, 5 ILCS 120/7.3, Section A. The village, number 9, the village must file a certified copy of the annual budget ordinance and copy of the estimated revenues as compiled by the budget officer with Cook County on or before May 16, 2018. 35 ILCS 200/18 through 50. If we're gonna work in excellence and we're gonna make good decisions, we have to have dates, so we follow timelines. We should be going into a budget May 1. When I came on board, they had not even discussed the budget, and we didn't get a budget to probably mid-June, early July, or something like that. As it relates to the budget being created, I was at that board meeting where Trustee Brown Marino publicly stated that she worked over a weekend to put a budget together. She is not the budget officer. So she took upon herself to create a budget to give us what we had to deal with last year. Going back to what our former mayor, Trustee Jones, said, she did that on her own will. She is not a certified public accountant, nor does she have a legal law degree. So with that being said, Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Brown Marino.
One question for you.
We're doing a roll call vote.
Trustee Brown Marino.
Hell no.
It's not on the list here. I'm sorry. We'll just say nay. Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Ely.
What I wanted to ask you, that schedule you were just reading, did you say, you said you shared it with the finance, at the finance committee meeting?
Yes.
Did you send us something in the mail? You know, I just like to read it,
I
keep
shared it
track
at
of it. You say, it was sent or will be sent, what?
I gave you the dates at the finance committee. I did not.
While you were speaking?
I gave it to the finance team. So I don't know if Tom had gave you the schedule, but what's your vote? Is it yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, that carries 4-2. Next item on the agenda. Item 8C, a resolution authorizing and approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of Maywood to establish the Ike Joint Emergency Telephone System Board and to provide for the consolidation and operation of certain public safety answering points and the Eisenhower Emergency Communication Center, or the Ike 911 Center, in the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Ely. Madam President, open for discussion.
Thank you. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize and approve the IGA, the Illinois governmental agreement with the Village of Maywood establishing the Ike JETSB and providing for consolidation and operation of the Ike 911 Center. Section 15.4 of the Emergency Telephone System Act 50 ILCS 750/15.4, the ETS Act, as amended by Public Act 99 through 006, effective July 2nd, 2015, authorized 2 or more municipalities to establish by intergovernmental agreement a joint emergency telephone system board, provided that the local emergency telephone system boards are terminated by ordinance that rescind their establishment authority and operational functions. Trustee Ely?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is simply authorizing the intergovernmental agreement and giving the system a name.
Well, I don't know how to answer that, Trustee, I do apologize, Mr. Chair. There's an intergovernmental agreement attached and negotiated between the village and the Village of Maywood. I think many covenants. In addition, one of the covenants is naming the ICE board. Actually,
Ike Center. Ike 911,
yeah. I-911 Center, there are, it's a rather voluminous agreement, so there are other provisions, such as the naming of it.
Okay.
Including how it's funded, yeah, so it is a governing agreement between the two, at this point in time.
Okay, I'm done.
Trustee Tierney? Trustee Jones?
I have none.
Trustee Horn?
No questions.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Brown Marino?
Yeah, I've got a few. Starting with talking about how it's being funded. We were told at the finance committee meeting that we're looking to sell between $10 and $12 million in bonds to cover the cost of this project. In the intergovernmental agreement, it estimates the initial startup cost at roughly $3.2 million, with roughly $1.6 million, our responsibility, and $1.6 million Maywood's responsibility. Is that $1.6 million being funded by the bond proceeds, first of all? Is there anyone who can answer that?
Get your questions out so we can answer them all at the same time. That's one.
Well, you know, with all due respect, sometimes the answer influences the next question. Because the next question would be, if our 1.6 million share is part of that, the proceeds of bonds, is Maywood's also part of that? We were also told that the debt service on the bonds was estimated to be roughly $800,000 a year for 15 years, over a 15-year amortization. And we were not given the ongoing operating budget that's supposed to be provided sometime around by April 30th. So I don't know how we're looking to come, we were also told that eventually we're expecting the revenue from this 911 center to cover the cost of the bonds. But initially, we'll have to cover it through the general fund, which I understand. The issue that I have is, given that we're talking about splitting the operating costs 50-50 with Maywood, and the information that I got, or that I gleaned from this, that there may be other participating members, but there also may be non-members that would participate with this. I'm at a loss for how we're going to come up with the money to cover the debt service, frankly. And I'm very worried about that. This is what I'm talking about. I'm looking at plans to spend all this money everywhere, and I don't know where this money is supposed to come from. So that's another one of my concerns. Another one of my concerns is that, and I would like answers to the question about the bond proceeds and whatever. Another one of my concerns is that the agreement says that the treasurer, that the treasurer for the, it's called the Ike JETSB, is what I'm calling it, JETSB, is supposed to be the finance director from one of the villages, starting with Broadview for the first 2 years. Now, we have a part-time person who has a full-time job that is acting as our finance director now. Well, he is our, in my opinion, he's acting as a finance director, but he is our finance director. But we're paying him $125 an hour for his services. Now, the agreement specifically says that we cannot recover any of the expenses having to do with the this provision of a finance director to serve as the treasurer. And the treasurer's duties for the this joint 911 center operation sound pretty extensive. So I have a problem with that. I would much rather see either let Maywood do it, or have them retain their own treasurer, or something like that. Because I think that that's a unnecessary burden on the village of Broadview, given what we have right now for a finance director and the cost. At the very least, I think we need an estimate of what we can expect to be paying for Mr. Hicks' new third part-time job. I'm sorry, I'm just looking through my notes because I wanted to come here prepared for this. I guess the other thing I want to say is that I do understand that we need to do this, and I support doing it. I like the idea that we are planning for more than just Broadview and Maywood working together here, which is something I've been advocating from the very beginning. I just don't see how that is going to help us in covering this $800,000. And frankly, I think the $800,000 a year as the debt service is really being optimistic. We were when we were looking in 2012 at selling $13 million in bonds, amortized over 25 years. The debt service was $805,000. So I want to do this project. I want to move forward with it. I just don't see how we're going to pay for it the way that this is laid out right now. So please, Madam President, can I have some answers?
Thank you. Director Hicks, would you like to respond to Trustee Brown Marino?
Sure. So, in terms of the 911 project, it is a mandated project.
Mr. Hicks, would you mind?
Talk about it.
Thank you. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. So it's a state mandated project. So the village kicked the can down the road, and so now we're at a point to where we have to do it. And so in order to do the project at the most optimal, advantageous route to the village, it was best thought that in a strategic manner, that we do an all-inclusive project. And so instead of doing, it initially was a couple $1 million or $3 or $4 million, and but with all the work that needs to be done to the village hall, it just made more sense to just make it an all-inclusive project. And so that increased the budget to around $10 to $11 million. The village has the capacity to do this project because of all the things that the previous administration did to shore up the finances. And with that being said, just like Trustee Brown mentioned, a few years back, you guys was going to market with $13 million and the debt service was around $800,000. Well, the rates have increased, have stabilized, and with the village being in a much better financial state, now we have the ability to get better rates because we have a better credit rating. And so, to answer your question about the $1.6 million, yes, that will be included in the bond proceeds because that's a part of the overall project cost for the total project. So the $1.6 million that's coming from Maywood is completely spelled out. It's funds that we definitely can count on, and that's in the agreement. Let's see. Your other question about how can the village afford this? The village can afford this because it is a strategic project that is going to bring additional revenue because it is mandated by the state. There's other municipalities that cannot meet this. And so you have other villages that are that are going to the, I think it's the county, I don't know the county. Right, Newark County, which isn't advantageous to them because it's a more significant cost than sharing the cost with us. And so as the phrase goes, you build it, they'll come. So once we have the center up and running, it will be a state-of-the-art center. It will be all of the latest and greatest technology, and it will be at a much significant cost that other villages will come and be able to benefit from this center for the whole area. And so the Peraza West Township. So that's really why we're at the forefront of this. And we're at the forefront of this because the village is the strongest of all the surrounding villages. And so we're in a position because, you talk about strategic decisions, so we just pay for a second ambulance, right? That ambulance is going to generate additional revenue. You look at the expiration of a huge tip. Those are additional tax dollars that are coming directly into the corporate fund that will allow us to service that debt. You look at the additional revenues from the existing businesses that are going to build out. So this is a well thought out, and this is a well positioned strategic move for the village. And so it is not haphazard. It is very when you talk about servicing the debt, it's all these things that we know are going to happen, that we're going to count on, that we can put forth to service the debt. We already looked at when the project actually gets up and running, 2019 and 2020, and then when you talk about the center itself starts to generate revenue, that's going to lessen the burden on the general fund. So the project is well thought out, and it's going to happen, and it's going to significantly fund it.
Well, if I can ask then, one of the provisions, I got the agreement, and I'm not saying that this isn't well thought out. This is a very detailed, very well thought out proposal. But when it talks about the expansion, it discusses either, by participating members and by non-members. If we're adding participating members, then what we're doing is taking the share of the operating costs, and instead of splitting them 50-50, if we had one more participating member, it becomes 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third. What I'm asking, are we looking to add participating members? Are we looking to add non-participating members where we have a different formula? Because what I'm saying is, I don't see additional revenue coming. I don't know where the additional revenue would be coming from.
So the additional revenue will come from, when you talk about cost, and so the more people, the more villages, surrounding villages that we bring into the center, the more we share costs, and less the burden on the village. So therefore, you increase revenue because you have less costs.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to figure out, is how you're coming to the idea. It's not so much that it's generating revenue as that we're saving money.
It's both. So as you're able to service more, communities, you generate more revenue. As you bring in more participating municipalities, you spread the costs. And so instead of, so our share of the operating costs is less, and so that's how it's.
We own the center.
Yeah.
It's our center.
Well, see, that's what I'm getting at though. If you read through the actual, what I'm actually seeing in here, it's our center, and if you're saying that we would save the money based on, instead of paying half of the, operating costs, we'd be paying a third or a quarter or a fifth or whatever, depending on how many more municipalities come. Then at least I can identify or start to get an idea of what kind of revenue we would have to put toward the bonds.
So, the revenue from the center is the icing on the cake. It is, we're not looking at this solely for the center to generate enough revenue to pay for the bonds. What we're saying is that we have enough, we're going to generate enough revenue in the general fund to pay for these bonds. And so, and then as we bring on more municipalities, the revenue grows, and then our share of the expenses become less, and therefore we have revenue to put forth the debt service.
Well, as a matter of fact, this is another concern. As I glanced through the budget, and obviously I didn't have time to do any more than glance at it today, but as I glanced at the budget, I saw that you're putting, this is the upcoming fiscal year budget. I see that you're putting the full $11 million proceeds from the bonds into the capital projects fund. I don't see any corresponding expenditures or transfers out of this $3.5 million, or the money that we're going to need for the project. So just to let you know, I
understand. So that will be taken care of when the project actually breaks ground, right? So we're not gonna, so we have an estimate. So Paul he's been on this the whole time. Right? So we literally had to get approval so that we actually can move forward with the architects creating the designs, right? So once they do that, then we had to get because this is a huge project, right? So we got a construction manager, right? So that we can manage this project to the best of the village abilities and make it the most cost effective. So once all those things come into play, then the reason why you don't see it, and the reason why the timeline of when it's actually going to take place, all of it is not going to hit within the next fiscal year. Right? So we may break ground, and all the costs that are associated with, because when you build something, you don't pay for it all up front, right? So there's progress built. So we anticipate that the majority of the progress that will take place in the early in the 2020 budget.
Deputy Chief, what is the deadline for us to be up and running?
I don't have the dates in front of me. I'm sorry.
You gotta extend that.
We asked for an extension.
We'll be up and running by the end of the year, however, there's gonna be extension about this will be that because of the setbacks of this work. Trying to go, set it up and do it.
See, I was thinking in terms of the newest deadline, based on the extensions that we got, I didn't realize that,
We will
we're
just
not.
be filing for extensions. We just have to prove this.
So they just begin.
We just have to prove the
Deputy.
date that we're moving.
Commander, thank you.
Okay.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Hill?
Yes, you can, Madam President.
Thank you, to address the idea of
Trustee
you being
Ely?
the treasurer for this group
Sure.
and
Director
us
Hicks, thank you.
covering that expenditure, because that's one of the terms in here.
Mr. Clerk.
Roll call, trustee Ely,
Yes.
trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Horn,
Yes.
trustee Abraham,
Yes.
trustee Brown Marino.
I wish I could vote for it, I wish I could support it, but I can't even get an answer to my question, so, no.
Madam President, this motion carries 5-1. Next item on the agenda, item D, an ordinance amending Title II, Boards and Commissions, Chapter 9, Emergency Telephone System Board, Section 2-9-1, Creation of Board and Appointment of Members, 2-9-2, Duties of Board, and 2-9-3, Emergency Telephone System Fund of the Broadview Municipal Code to dissolve the Broadview Emergency Telephone System Board and recognize the Village of Broadview's participation in a joint emergency telephone system board created via an intergovernmental agreement establishing a consolidated joint emergency dispatch system known as the Eisenhower Emergency Communications Center, or the Ike 911 Center.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Horn. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this ordinance is to amend Title II, Chapter 9, Section 2-9-1 through 2-9-3 of the Village Code to dissolve the Broadview ETSB and recognize Broadview's participation in the JETSB created by an IGA establishing the Ike 911 Center. Pursuant to Section 15.4, letter E of the Emergency Telephone System Act, 50 ILCS 750/15.4, letter E, as amended by Public Act 99 through 006 on and after January 1st, 2016. No municipality or county may create an emergency telephone system board unless the board is a joint emergency telephone system board. The corporate authorities of any county or municipality entering into an intergovernmental agreement to create or join a joint emergency telephone system board shall rescind an ordinance or ordinances creating a single emergency telephone system board and shall eliminate the single emergency telephone system board effective upon the creation of the joint emergency telephone system board with regulatory approval by the administrator or joining of the joint emergency telephone system board. Trustee Ely?
Well, you said it all, but I read this, meaning that we're changing 293 to dissolve ETSB and replace it, with the Eisenhower Emergency Communications Center, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm done.
Trustee Jones?
I have nothing.
Trustee Horn?
No questions.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Brown Marino?
No.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can. Trustee Ely,
Yes.
trustee Tierney,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Horn,
Yes.
trustee Abraham,
Yes.
trustee Brown Marino.
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 6-0. Next item on the agenda. Item E, a resolution authorizing and approving an agreement with Roots, Inc. regarding residential collection and transportation and disposal of municipal solid waste for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize and approve an agreement with Group Inc. for the residential collection, transportation, and disposal of municipal solid waste for the village. Article 7, Section 10A of the Illinois Constitution authorized units of local government to contract or otherwise associate with individuals, associations, and corporations in any manner not prohibited by law or by ordinance. Trustee Ely?
Well, with this particular contract, Bruce has been with us for a long time. I think it's 11 years, it may have been longer. But I would have thought, since at the end of that contract, that we would have put this out for bid. We put an RFQ out, that's not bid. So we don't know what other companies would have offered us as far as prices or services is concerned. What I do know is that we got a proposal from Group, I'll call them for certain price increases. Some of them are extraordinary to me, and I easily Googled other communities and, Bartlett, they're less than what we're going to be. Hinsdale would be this, Evanston is way less, Franklin Park is less, Oak Park is less. We can do better than this. I think that by putting it out for bid, we may have gotten some better responses to a new garbage contract. We owe it to the public to do this for them. You know, they elected us for this. We normally do research beforehand and solicit bids for a contract this far and this long. I'm done.
Thank you, Trustee Tierney.
Nothing.
Trustee Jones?
I would just like to get a representation from someone, either yourself, Mayor, Public Works, or group, somebody, to do a comparison with the previous contract and the current contract, to compare services and things that are going on. Aside from that, I have nothing else.
Okay. Trustee Horn?
No comments, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
I guess I'd have to agree with, listening to Trustee Jones about a comparison would be obviously beneficial to us, as well as, Trustee Ely had sent an email about these rates, and I responded with some questions back to him, Madam Mayor, as to see if this was something that he had on paper, that he verified with those communities, so that we can actually look at the different costs. So I understand where he's coming from. I mean, at this point, if this is something, looking down the road about putting it out to bid, that's obviously an avenue we should explore. But at this point, I'm good with what's here, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Brown Marino?
Well, putting it out for bid is not just a good idea, it's the law. And an RFQ or an RFP, in other words, a request for qualifications or a request for proposals, is not adequate. Not because I say so, but because case law says so.
Which case?
Mr. Vassilin, are you serious? You want me to do your legal research for you? You're a municipal attorney. No, you're a municipal attorney and you don't know this?
You're practicing law in the state of Illinois.
I'm not practicing law.
You
I'm trying to
submitted a
figure-
case. You literally cited a case and then refused to give the citation.
I didn't bring the citation with me, because I would have
I'm
thought.
sorry.
It's okay.
Well, Mr. Vassilin, let me ask you, are you saying, in your opinion, as an attorney, as our attorney, is it your legal counsel and advice that it is okay for us to approve a contract just on the basis of an RFQ?
You're asking a very general question. Are you asking about this?
Okay, let's talk about this contract. We have a contract
Yes,
before us.
many contracts can be approved with just an RFQ or without an RFQ. Some can, some can't, depending if it's a public work or not. Again, you're not qualified to practice law in the state of Illinois.
I'm not practicing law, I'm trying to figure out.
You said there is a
I'm trying to
case
figure,
that
I'm
says you
looking
can't
for
approve
landmines.
this, but you can't cite the fees.
I didn't
And
bring
that's
it.
literally what happened. It's not,
I didn't bring the cases with me, because why should I have to educate our attorney? And you're sitting here saying that they are, you're sitting here saying that an RFQ is sufficient. I'm telling you it isn't. We'll figure this out. This is not legal for us, from what I have, from my research, it is not legal for us to approve a contract without putting it out to bid.
So let's ask a question.
And when you do something like this is what happens. Because now we're talking about a huge increase to our garbage cost to the residents, and that's not even allowing for the profit margin that you were looking for, so that we can cover the roll-off costs that we talked about at the finance committee meeting. And what happens is you get a situation like this, where whether or not this was a factor, you've got a company that has been very supportive politically, and now they are being given this treatment that clearly violates the law. So, I gotta tell you, you guys do what you want, but I will tell you that from my understanding, from my research, we would be breaking the law to approve this without putting it out to bid.
So, Mr. Hilden, would you like to address the board, and Director Ames and Director Hicks?
He's an expert on this. On the law.
Excuse me. So the reason why, the reason why I asked Frank from Groot and Director Ames and Director Hicks to talk about the contract that we have, because it's very solid and it's very favorable for the Village of Broadview, working with Director Hicks and Director Ames to come up to a contract that we all can live with. When you hear the outcome of it, it's obviously that certain legislators don't know the difference between an RFQ and an RFP and the leverage that we have. So, Director Ames, you want to start?
Most certainly, Madam President. What I would like to do is first offer up some history as it relates to our contract with Groot. Groot has actually been service provider in the Village of Broadview, not for 11 years, but 40 years. 40 years. Okay. So when we came in office, and during my first year tenure, the contract for refuge service was expiring. At the time, I believe I was an elected official trustee along with Trustee McGreer, and what we didn't have
Until
at
you
the
were
time,
removed as ineligible.
And what we didn't have at the time of conversations with then owner Larry Group and Mr. Frank Hillengon was financial histories. Jan Baptist, our former finance director, had not been appointed to the position yet. But we did know what we wanted to try and achieve operationally, what we wanted to maintain. We wanted to obviously maintain the roads, cleanliness, the multifamily, we wrote that up into it. At the time the contract was negotiated, the rate increase was set at a CPI of a minimum of 3% and a maximum of 5%. Okay. In hindsight, I always felt like we could have did better in terms of the rate increase that was negotiated, because we all know that during that period of time, the CPI at times generally moved a little bit more than 1%. Okay, so now we fast forward today, the contract actually was set to expire the 31st. The 31st, right? So they were gracious enough, if nothing else, to work through the old contract until we got to this one. So, for those of you that have been misinformed, this new contract has an immediate rate reduction of 11%. So we calculated at least $40,000 savings in this year based off of the rates that we're going to get from these people. We are currently paying $13.41, I believe. The rate reduction now is $12.25 per household. All right. Plus, we get increased services. So, once again, it's important that the narrative support the facts. Right. And the facts of the contract, I would suggest, Mayor, that it be put out for public scrutiny, most certainly as it relates to transparency. We also get additional shred days. We've got a rate freeze for the multifamily. So when you're paying for the multifamily, all of you landlords and property owners, you're going to continue to pay that rate. And it still holds true that you have a collect-off, a move-out. So you're not charged, once again, this was part of the negotiations, for those individuals that like to come through town and fly them, particularly behind these multifamily buildings. So you can call us, and you can let us know. You can call and say, hey, somebody threw some trash back here, and they're going to be driving the spot to pick it up with no additional cost, not to you or anybody else. As it relates to the yard waste stickers, there's a reduction in cost there. So overall, I think the long-term significance of the contract is that Group Industries were amenable to our request a 1.5% minimum, 3% maximum for the duration of this contract. I couldn't have did any better. So as it relates to RFQ and RFPs, I got educated about it. I literally got educated about RFQs and RFPs. And I would suggest that our fellow legislators become as knowledgeable. I found the RFQ to be a more useful tool. As a matter of fact, we were able to negotiate these favorable rates because we did receive RFQs from 7, 8 different companies. So, once again, Mayor, is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think the biggest point is that we're reducing the rate 11.5%. That includes garbage collection, recycling collection, and yard waste collection. Now, the residents will purchase yard waste stickers, I'm absorbing the cost of the yard waste collection into that $12.25 rate. So all three of those services are at $12.25. I think that's what we need to be clear when you compare to other West Central Municipal Conference.
Go back to the question you had after you finish.
Right, but when compared to the West Central Municipal Conference, I think Broadview right now, with the free e-waste services, the shred days, and the other community events that we're gonna work in partnership with the Village of Broadview, I think we put you at the bottom of the West Central Municipal Conference, of all 200 communities, as far as price goes. So, we're excited. We've been here since 1968, and we've been through numerous bids in the meantime. I think, thank you for this.
You gonna open the floor up to questions? Or did you get answers?
You said you had any questions.
I got something else.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, the first speaker mentioned that this contract is going to lead to
Who's
a
the first
40% decrease.
Who is the first speaker?
Ms. Ames.
Okay, address them accordingly. Don't be disrespectful.
Ms. Ames, hey, you said that this contract was gonna be a 40% decrease in our rates, and I just didn't see it. You also said.
Let me
that-
correct you before
Okay.
you go further, please.
Okay.
Please listen to what I'm saying. It wasn't 40%. It was $40,000. Okay?
Okay, all
All
right,
right.
very good. You also said that the terms of the contract, has a range for CPI increases from, 1.5% to 3%. I remember reading 1.5 to 3.5, so I might be wrong there. Now, there was some that, I stand corrected, I read too fast. Now, he just said that pursuant to the West Central Municipal Conference, that Broadview was near the bottom. You may have made comparisons there. I made my comparisons to various communities. Bartlett, that's Groot. What you're proposing in this new contract, they're paying $19.35 a month for everything.
And we're paying $12.25 a month for everything.
Let me finish. Try listening. What I read in the contract, and I may be wrong, maybe I read it wrong, was that, he's got the contract, $12.25 a month per, single-family household, for recycle, $12.25 per month, single-family household for garbage. That's the total, you add the two together, that's a total of $24.50. I know that currently,
Your
we're paying
comprehension is incorrect, trustee.
$17.58 a month, which will go to,
Read the contract, put it online so those that can comprehend can read it and understand that we're paying $12.25 a month
It's in the
for
contract.
the three services. Refuge, recycle, and yard waste. So if in fact you seem to think Bartlett or anybody else is paying less than us, Mayor?
Thank you, Director Ames. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Can we get a roll call vote,
No,
please?
Yes, you can, Madam President.
Actually,
Trustee Ely.
it's exactly what the contract says. Is in section,
Trustee Ely.
C1, it talks about $12.25 a month for recycling. And in
Trustee Ely.
section 1, I'm sorry, 9, section, paragraph 3, it calls for $12.25.
Trustee Brown Marino, we having a roll call vote. Thank you.
Madam President, I
Trustee
would like
Ely.
to make a superseding motion to table this item, for more research.
We're doing a roll call vote.
Second.
I had already called for a roll call.
Roll call.
I need a vote, yes or no? Trustee Ely.
No.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino.
No.
Madam President, this carries 4 to 2.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item F, as in Frank, a resolution awarding the contract for the 17th Avenue Municipal Parking Lot project to Chicagoland Paving Contractors, Inc., after competitive bidding for the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President, open for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this resolution is to award the 17th Avenue Municipal Parking Lot Project contract to the lowest responsive bidder. Article 7, Section 10A of the Illinois Constitution authorizes units of local government to contract or otherwise associate with individuals, associations, and corporations in any manner not prohibited by law or by ordinance. Trustee Ely?
This is, somebody's gonna tell us about, exactly what this site is. I'm sure this is the property adjacent to Ms. Kim. Correct? Oh, there it is, looking for you. Tell us about the project.
Chris, we're gonna go down, it'll get explained through trustee Jones. Thank you. Anything else, trustee?
No.
Trustee Tierney?
Just to clarify, this was a little bit.
Yes.
I have
Trustee-
nothing else.
Trustee Jones?
Yeah, so 3 years ago or so, the Village of Broadview entered into a public-private agreement with the owner of the property at the corner of 17th and Roosevelt. And in order to beautify the entire corner and the whole general area, that lot was included in the actual development project. But because it's owned by the village is going to pony up the money. It's our responsibility to redo it. So when you look at the drawings of what's going to be on the corner of 17th and Roosevelt, and those of you that have seen it, the poster that's out there shows a picture of a building that's going to be there. What it doesn't show is the reconstruction of the entire alley and parking lot on the backside of it. So the railings are going to be gone. It's going to get resurfaced. The traffic pattern is going to change a little bit. It's going to get restriped. So that whole parking lot that sits right across from the post office and right behind kitty corner to Checkers there is going to be redone. And that was part of the original agreement that we made to do the entire little corridor on that corner. We've already put a brand new alley back there. So the alley is already brand new. This is just going to bring the rest of the village property up to speed with that. So that's what this is. This is just part of a complete comprehensive plan to redo that entire corner. I think you guys will like what it's going to look like when it's done. Yeah.
Thank you, Trustee
Yeah.
Jones. Trustee Horn?
Only comment is that, in the upcoming meeting that I will schedule, you'll hear additional details and hopefully have some renderings to display. That'll be it, thank you.
Trustee Abraham?
None.
Trustee Brown Marino?
None.
Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Brown Marino.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yep.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Ely.
Yes.
Madam President, this carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item G, an ordinance of the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, granting a variation to the Chapter 3 of its zoning code regarding front and side yard setbacks in the village's OI Office Industrial Districts, 2509 Lexington Street.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly motioned by trustee Jones, seconded by trustee Tierney. Madam President?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this ordinance is to grant a variation to Chapter 3 of the zoning code regarding front and side yard setbacks for the property located at 2509 Lexington Street. Pursuant to Section 11-13-6 of the Illinois Municipal Code, 65 ILCS 5/11-13-6, in specific cases, a variance may be made by ordinance after a public hearing before the Board of Appeals, of which there shall be a notice of the time and place of the hearing published at least once, not more than 30 nor less than 15 days before the hearing, in one or more newspapers published in the municipality, or if no newspaper is published therein, then in one or more newspaper with the general circulation within the municipality which is published in county where municipality is located. Trustee Ely?
Well, so what have you come up with? What's here now? Nothing?
Yes.
This is the setback, we're referring to
Yes.
is here?
Yes.
There's nothing there?
Yeah, right now the building size is pretty much that line.
So you want permission to, expand?
Yeah, it's pretty much square the building.
Oh,
But, and it still falls within the confines of the
Mhm.
county, so.
Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, Trustee Tierney?
I have no questions.
Trustee Jones?
I just want to comment, these guys have been talking about this for some time. How long you guys been considering this?
40 years.
At any rate, it's like a training facility, and they're just expanding the building, you know, it's a no-brainer to me. That's all.
Trustee Horn?
This is good information, and just for the record, would you guys just state your name for the purposes of this, we're streaming.
My name is Michael Arnold, and I'm with LCM Architects.
I'm Matt Ingersoll with Montana Mulch.
Thank you. Yeah, makes sense.
Trustee Green?
I think it's a very good idea. I know they've been in the community for a long time. I was on the zoning board. I think then you did another expansion going out toward the east. So again, I'm glad you stayed in our community. I'm glad you're doing this type of a service.
Trustee Brown Marino?
I have no objection to this. I think it's a good idea.
Mr. Clerk, can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, you can, Madam President. Trustee Brown Marino?
Yes.
Trustee Abraham?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Tierney?
Yes.
Trustee Ely? Madam President, this carries 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, item H, an ordinance of the Village of Broadview, County of Cook, State of Illinois, authorizing and approving a purchase and sale agreement for the property commonly known as 2101-2107 South 17th Avenue, Broadview, Illinois, by and between the Village of Broadview and William A. Slovic and Renee L. Slovic.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Jones, seconded by Trustee Horn. Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The purpose of this resolution is to authorize and approve a purchase and sale agreement between the village and William and Renee Sovak for the property commonly known as 2101-2107 South 17th Avenue. Pursuant to Section 2-3-8 of the Illinois Municipal Code 65 ILCS 5/2-3-8, municipalities are authorized to acquire and own personal property for public purposes. Additionally, Article Section 7, Section 10A of the Illinois Constitution authorize units of local government to contract otherwise associate with individuals, associations, and corporations in any manner not prohibited by law or by ordinance. For us to purchase this piece of property would give us the whole lot for the senior housing development. So we need to purchase this building so that we can acquire the whole parcel of land to develop the senior housing project that had been discussed a couple of years ago. Trustee Ely?
Well, I disagree. I don't think we need to purchase this. When the senior developer comes in, they can make their own deal. This is Edmark Press. Not to mention that I'm opposed the amount of money was $380,000 or something that you're proposing we give Edmark Press for this property. I'm not sure that it's worth that much. There was no appraisal attached to it. Only thing we're buying is that one-story building from the curb to the alley. It's not that big. I don't know that it's worth. And Broadview with our dwindling, decreasing property values and the value on that is going up. Let's call it what it is. This is a sweetheart deal to benefit somebody that's been supported. Everybody in this room knows in the last election and in previous elections, Edmark Press was generous enough to put an oversized illegal sign on the side of that building supporting certain people. They've been good soldiers. This is their payback. There's no way in the world we should be entertaining this.
Wow.
That concludes my comment.
Thank you. Trustee Tierney?
No, I have none.
Trustee Jones?
Okay, well, a couple things. First of all, this building was included in the original project when the senior citizen development came about. And the purchase was going to be done in the middle of the project. However, it did not come about. What you may or may not know is that the senior citizen development project is based on a point system. And we lost points because we did not own all of the property at the time. And by acquiring this property, it's going to enhance our ability to do the project going forward. Secondly, Trustee Ely, you pointed out or you made a comment about decreasing property value. Well, I beg to differ. I think the property value is actually increasing and not decreasing.
Yes, they are.
Secondly, this particular property, if we buy it, knock it down, and put a senior citizen development, not only will it sustain, but it will increase the property value at the location as well. I think it's an investment that the village needs to make in our own future and in our own infrastructure for our own people. We've got people coming to us every day. I know the mayor does, and I've experienced it myself, asking, when is this project gonna be done? We've got a large volume of senior citizens in town that would like to have a location to go to, and they don't want to leave Broadview. Just makes sense. So, you know, we need to get the property, need to get control of the property so we can make it, simplify the whole process and get the points. And it has nothing to do with a sweetheart deal or who somebody supported, who somebody didn't support. Edmark's been in this town. How long you been in this town?
1976.
Since 1976. And they have supported every, let me say this again, every administration. They have done the village publications and village, printed village materials since I can ever remember. So I don't know that anybody could say that they have been heavily on one side or the other. They supported whoever was in office and whatever was going on in the village, the library and everybody else. They've been involved with everybody. So they've been solid citizens for years. They just happen to be in the middle of where we want to build. And it's not about them, it's more about the village and the fact that we want to put a senior citizen development in this particular location, and their spot just happens to be where we want to go. So that's all I got to say. I digress, Madam President.
Mr. Ingleson, did you want to make a comment? Can you come to the mic?
Good evening, trustees. Madam President, I just wanted to add, as far as the purchase price goes, that there was an appraisal, and that's something that we can make available to the trustees. And then just more, the way the ordinance is drafted, like there are no amendments allowed to it whatsoever after tonight's passage, if it is passed. There is a minor change that we would like to make, just clarifying. There's going to be a tenancy period for 90 days after closing, and we just want to make clarify who's going to be paying utilities during that 90-day period. Would be the tenant, and that would be the only change. So if it is approved, we would just ask that it's approved with the authority of us to make that amendment to the license agreement, which is Exhibit E of the purchase and sale agreement. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Horn.
Our taxes have increased. I don't know if you guys have gotten the information, but I got the information reflected in my mortgage payment because it went up, telling me that the taxes were increasing because our property value, my property increase, which is a good thing. So I'm glad that my property is worth more than what I initially purchased it for. And I resent the idea that people are implying that political contributions are motivating the decisions that are taking place. That is not the case, and I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Abraham.
Yes, again, I have to agree with my fellow trustees, Trustee Jones and Trustee Horn, regarding property values changing. Obviously, some homes have been sold within the community, and they're at a higher rate, in well over $200,000, $280,000. There's been homes that have been closing, and new families are moving in. On the other note, with Trustee Jones talking about the senior center, as a former member of the zoning board for many, many years, from the time the Broadview Village Square, this was always a thought of taking over that block. And again, as Trustee Jones has explained, that Edmark area was always going to be part of it. And we've had former mayors, and then, you know, looking at this and trying to put this together, it was becoming more solid with Trustee Jones' administration. So just to be aware of it, it's something that needs to be part of the deal so it has a better flow. Plus, we need that space. At the end of the day, just the location itself. And with the growth of the community, you know, I think we should rally behind this. Again, we have a lot of development going on, which is a good thing for our small little town. So it's good to see that we're vibrant, we're proactive, we're addressing needs of the community, and again, it's a good thing for the seniors.
Thank you, Trustee Brown Moreno.
There's a saying that those who do not remember history are doomed to repeat it. For all these impassioned speeches about why we need to do this, it reminds me of all the reasons that we needed to buy all the other real estate that the village owns. And we have no business being in the real estate business like this. So that's one of my concerns. I see this, I do understand that the Edmark property is supposed to be part of whatever project, But what I see here, we don't even have another developer in mind, or from what I understand from the other night, we have not even started reaching out to developers for this. So the idea of us putting out all of this money in order to accommodate the timetable for Edmark Press, that should not be our prime concern. What Edmark Press's Mr. Slovic and his business's plans are. As far as the political contributions, it's not just a matter of contributions. Actually, Edmark Press has been carrying Friends of Sherman Jones. Friends of Sherman Jones owes them almost $10,000 and has for a number of years. And so the idea that it doesn't look good, it doesn't smell good, I think there's a lot more than just simply making a contribution. But the other issue that I've got with this is, where is the money supposed to come from? I looked through the budget that we received. There's nothing in our current budget to cover this expenditure. There's nothing in the upcoming budget to cover this expenditure. If you want to spend $1.9 million more than we're taking in next year, we certainly don't have any money. We need some reserves. Are we talking about dipping into that $11 million bonds, which is another problem we ran into? Again, if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And that's exactly what I see going on here. And frankly, I'm really starting to believe all those people who said that this administration wants to bankrupt this village, because I don't see this. I don't even see where we're supposed to come up with this money from. So,
That's it?
If I thought it would do any good, I would continue talking, but obviously there are people here who are willing to do whatever the hell you put in front of them.
Trustee Horn?
Well, I think
Mine was closeted.
You can go ahead first.
No, you go ahead.
I'm not, the whole Friends of Sherman Jones thing, I can't speak to that. I'm not a part of that at all, so I can't speak to that. Hold on a second. And as far as me, I can't speak for everybody else. I'm going to speak for Verena Horn. I do not vote because the majority votes. I'm not going along with the flow because stuff is presented to me. What I do make a very conscious effort to do is to get all my questions answered before I come to the board meeting. So when the information is presented to me, I tend to call, send emails, and ask a bunch of questions to make sure it makes sense. And a lot of changes or clarification is done prior to beginning to the board meeting so that I can vote in an affirmative way. And if they don't make the changes that I think is necessary, I vote no, which is what you guys seen me do, or when I've gotten into arguments, even with Mr. Jones or whatever friends he may have, whatever the case may be. In addition to that, my last question, I felt the need to just defend myself a little bit because I don't like people just making statements and they're wrong. The last question is I will have for Mr. Hicks, are you ignorant to this expense related to the purchase of the building? Yeah, my point is that the finance director was considered in the decision. And so we can hold a person who has went to school for a very long time and have the credentials to support their body of knowledge to a specific result. When people make blanket statements and articulate information that they don't have licensure for, you can't hold them accountable to anything because they can't say they know it, other than from what they read. That's like, he went to school for it. And so I can say, did you consider it? Is it aligned to our objectives? Does it make sense? And if he says yes, and it produces an unfavorable result, I can point the finger at such and such and make a right decision going forward. Like I can point the finger to an attorney if he give me bad advice because I'm trusting you to make decisions because you went to school and got a JD. But if a person is making decisions outside of their body of knowledge, it's more likely that they may be wrong about something or misinterpreting information, even if they have the best interest of the village at heart. That's my point. I'm in IT. Nobody can really tell me too much about IT other than somebody who studied IT. Else I'll take your body of knowledge as a grain of salt and go verify it somewhere else. That's my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Horn. Trustee Jones?
Yeah, a couple of comments that were made by one of our illustrious trustees down there on the end. Talked about us not being in the real estate business. municipalities are always in the real estate business. It's what they depend, it's their lifeline. It's what they depend on to get paid, real estate taxes. So we're always in the real estate business. The idea that we should not be purchasing property, municipalities purchase property all the time. This is not something that's unique or different from anybody else. This happens all the time. Secondly, the idea or the notion that we're trying to bankrupt the village, or this administration is trying to bankrupt the village, is a complete misrepresentation of what's going on here. This is actually an investment in our village. This is an investment in taking a piece of property that is antiquated and it sits in the middle of a prime piece of area where we can do development that will put us in a better position to generate taxes. The last thing is we talked, she mentioned about us buying property before. Well, they brought 13th and 14th and Roosevelt years ago, and they were trying to put a square peg in a round hole. They wanted to put $250,000 and $300,000 condos on Roosevelt Road when you could buy a 3-bedroom house for under $100,000. That's why it didn't work. And they wanted to make it like 3 or 4 stories high, if I'm not mistaken. You know, so it was a square peg in a round hole, and it was a money pot for somebody. We don't know who, but somebody got paid in this deal. They bought up all the property, they knocked down all the buildings, and the plan was to put $250,000 and $300,000 condominiums on Roosevelt Road when you could go 2 blocks away and buy a whole house with a backyard and a garage for $100,000. It wasn't going to, it never was going to work. It never was going to work. In this case, we have a viable plan. In this case, we have a plan that's already been approved. The only reason that it did not go through was because we did not quite meet the criteria of the points, and the state of Illinois administration changed, and the funding, you know, just kind of dried up temporarily. We expect it to come back. I fully expect it to come back because senior citizen development just makes sense. It just makes sense. So, and oh, by the way, if the money comes from a TIF fund or from a connecting TIF fund or wherever it comes from, it does not directly impact our general fund. Okay, so let's compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Okay, don't try to mix the two up and try to mislead the public into what's going on here. TIF districts are created for the purposes of development, and purchasing property is one of those TIF criteria. It specifically is lined out in the law that you can purchase real estate with TIF funds. That's what it's there for. It's there to develop properties that otherwise would not get developed. You know, and that's all I got to say, Madam President. Sorry if I sound so impassioned, but it aggravates me when people mislead people intentionally.
I do have a follow-up.
Yeah, I got a problem with you. Yeah.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor, to recognize myself. I had an opportunity a long time ago to serve on the zoning board, and Mr. Upshaw can attest to that. Is when Mayor Rogers, former Mayor Rogers, was the mayor, and the village did something. They took a big endeavor on with this little town, and that was the Broadview Village Square. And I had the opportunity to be appointed to that board, to serve on it, to render decisions for that mall. And that mall's still standing today. And if you don't think sometimes you have to look past or to make comments to misinform our public, that's not right. There was thorough research done then. As you say, your history or your past is going to repeat itself. There's plans. There's educated people sitting at the table. Okay? So to put comments out there to misinform our public, we have successes. We did the Headley project. That was TIF. That's successful. We did Roosevelt Road. That's successful. We've got businesses sprouting up. Aldi was an opportunity that the village had to purchase that property. Okay? They wanted to put homes there, but Aldi came in and said, we're going to pay cash, and we're going to put this building up, and bang, there's the building. Look at where that Aldi's at now. They just remodeled. They just remodeled. Their numbers are up. They're one of the biggest companies out there, and they invested in our small town. I can't understand why you don't see this little, what is it, 2.2 miles, roughly?
2.2 square miles.
Okay, all right, how many residents? And we've got a lot of stuff compared to the North Riversides, the Oak Brooks, the Yorktowns. There's a lot of competition, and we're competing. Yeah. We are competing.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so I don't know why you want to hold us back, but this is progress. Okay, this is progress. Thank the Lord that we've had Jesus walk the earth. We've had the railroads being built. I mean, think about that. We've had people that went against the grain. I mean, I understand she's not with us, but guess what? My family came here in 1957 from the city of Chicago, okay, from Taylor Street. They bought their first house here. I still own it. I have my own home here. I'm invested here. If I thought something was going on, or that guy didn't know what he was doing with his credentials, or the attorney with his credentials, you think I'd want them here?
That's right.
I'd be the first one chirping. I'd be the first one chirping. Madam Mayor, aren't I right? You know I would say something.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm raising a daughter here.
Yeah, student loan debt.
My nephew's raising. I have a great niece being raised here. This is an investment. I mean, we're doing the right stuff. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, can we get
Well,
a
I still
roll call
have
vote?
not
Yes, you
received
can,
an
Madam
answer to my
President.
question as to where the
Trustee
money is
Ely.
supposed to be coming from.
I just said.
But the problem with that is that this property is in the 17th Avenue North tip
Don't
that has
matter.
generated no money whatsoever.
It don't matter. It touches the Roosevelt Road tip.
So if we're talking about comporting money from the Roosevelt Road tip, then that's an answer to the question. However, it's still not in this budget. There's nothing in this budget having to do with the purchase of this real estate.
Trustee Ely.
No.
Trustee Tierney.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Abraham.
Yes.
Trustee Brown Marino.
Nope.
Madam President, this carries 4-2. Next item on the agenda, item 9, applications for the authority to expend funds. We have none. Item 10, village clerk. That would be me.
Thank you.
First off, I would like to start off by thanking Chief Tracy Kinney. Last week, after working on minutes, my deputy clerk and I took a trip over to the fire department to do a quick tour. I wanted to show her what was going on at the fire department and get an idea of what some of the new things that were going on. And to my surprise, I was met by Chief Kinney, and she gave us a tour, and a very thorough tour. I've spent many, many hours over there at the fire department, as I have with Public Works, but this time we got an idea of some of the challenges, again, that are going on currently, and some of the things on the horizon. And I'm not sure what activities the trustees do as far as the departments and interacting, but I urge you to take a trip over to the fire department, find out what's going on, find out what the challenges are, and see what we have on the horizon. We just talked about the suits that are wet and have mildew, and we have the new dryer system. This has been how long, Chief, that you've had this? I didn't even know about it. 2 years now? The gear dryer. The gear dryer, right.
I would like
Yeah.
to note that Trustee Brown Marino is leaving the, board meeting at 9:41.
For the record, Trustee Brummerino is leaving at 9:41 p.m. Chief, I really appreciated the time we spent over there and revisited some of the things I already knew and, reaffirmed some new things that I didn't know. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day. I know you've been looking at budget numbers all day on the screen and how they can crisscross your eyes, but we were in the same predicament. Thanks again. As Trustee Abraham mentioned earlier, Dollar Tree is now hiring. They have a hiring event on Wednesday, that's in 2 days, April 4th, from 10 to 1 p.m., and then again at 3 o'clock to 6 p.m. Aldi's is also hiring the following week, Wednesday, April 11th, from 4 to 7 p.m. Then I have an announcement from the Proviso Township Community Cafe. On April 10th, they have a spring celebration, and this is for the seniors. This one is The Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., they're gonna serve lunch, they're gonna host a real nice celebration for the adults, and they're asking for seniors 60 and up. They're gonna do a lot of things for the seniors, and this is for seniors in the community of Proviso. It's gonna be held at 1609 36th Avenue at the Proviso Community Cafe. That is in Merrill's Park. And if you have any questions or you would like to RSVP, the number to call is 708-316-7488. Laurie Madden is the person to speak to. Lastly, trustees, I know I've spoken to you, a couple of you about paperless system in the clerk's office. I'd like to explore that a little bit more within the next couple of weeks because we spend a lot of money on paper and we have technology on our side. We all, to my knowledge, have iPads and electric devices. I would like ultimately, and this is something I listed in my 2019 fiscal year goals, to go paperless and provide you the agenda and the $2,500 warrant list on paper. If you have a specific request individually that you'd like for me to print something out, I have no problem taking care of any of your needs. But as of right now, this is ridiculous. And some of the pages that I didn't print for you today, yeah, look at the mirrors. We had over 161 pages of backup information for one of the ordinances, one of the exhibits, and I couldn't bring myself to printing 8 copies of that just to browse through it. And some of us don't even have the time to browse through stuff, as we know. So with that being said, I hope you are supportive in a paperless system. And again, I'm always at your beck and call if you need something printed or questions asked or answered. That's what we're here for. That being said, Mayor, that is my report.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
All right. Next item on the agenda, item 11, Village President, Katrina Thompson.
Thank you. So it's interesting that you bring this topic up here. We had not had this discussion, but we have, and you're more than welcome, you and the deputy clerk is more than welcome to sit in on a company called Board Docs. And what it is they prepare our documents electronic so it's accessible for us. So and I'll send you the dates where you can, so it'll be with myself and the department heads on how we transition from paper to electronic documents and something that we can share across the board. So we're looking at 2 companies. Once we solidify, we'll have them come do a presentation to the board so that we can be paperless as we go forward, because this is a lot of paper that we're wasting and we spend a lot of money on
Excellent
paper.
idea.
I just want to address a couple of things that came up in tonight, and I'm pretty sure a lot of it is hurt feelings and bitterness and regrets. As I listen to the conversation tonight, it's quite obviously that under the leadership of former Mayor Trustee Jones, there were some obstructionists that prohibit him from moving this village forward. And that's unfortunate that we lived during that time. In a lot of the meetings I attended, I didn't stay the whole length of the meeting because they would go to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But talk about legislation or put legislation in place that just did not make us responsible as a village to move forward. We have a team in place that we want to move forward, and we want to work with all of the legislators, but it's obvious that there's still some hurt feelings, some regret, and some bitterness, and we have to get past that and learn to work with each other. Every board meeting since the last meeting that trustees decided not to attend board meetings and we didn't have a quorum, every board meeting I sent out a text message asking them to confirm their attendance. Everybody confirms except Trustee Ely and Trustee Brown Marino. They failed to acknowledge that they'll be here at the meeting. So that goes to say that if they failing to acknowledge a text message just confirming their attendance at a board meeting that they got elected to be a part of, that they're not keen on what takes place in the legislation. They don't reach out to the department head and have professional conversations with those department heads as it relates to the respective legislation that's brought before us. And then they want to come and grandstand and accuse and, name call and those types of things. And I think that's just so unfair to the residents and to our potential developers or our potential business partners who want to come and do business in the village of Broadview. We are way better than that. We have a very transparent administration. Anybody can come. I'm in the village every single day. Anybody can come and get any documentation from the building department, from our public works, from our fire department, the police department, administration. But certain elected officials choose not to get the questions. We get emails that's inappropriately calculated because they fail to look at or fail to reach out to department heads to get the information to challenge their research. We're not doing anything unethical, illegal. The people that we have in place, we have a certified public accountant on board that does a very good job of getting us the needs that we need to look at our finances. I'm very excited to say when we have our budget hearing, the presentation, when we've been going back and forth with the presentation, but the presentation that you guys are gonna see is something we've never had. Each department head, he has met with each department head, our finance director has met with each department head to go through their budget. And every department head in this budget moving forward and for the next 5 years or the next 10 years, each department head is actually accountable for their own budget. That has never happened because the legislator kind of managed that and said these are the numbers, but now we actually holding people accountable. Are they worthy to have these key positions at top salaries and they can't manage a budget? So now it's accountability time. Last year, I had a meeting and I said last year was the year of change. And the change was this administration, getting to learn each other, learning to work with each other, learning to compromise and negotiate. Not because it's what we want, but because it's the right thing to do. This is the year of unifying. This is the year that we unify our community. We unify our library. We unify our school districts, we unify in our park district. We have so many initiatives that's about to take place in this next year. And I have to just give a huge kudos to Director Hicks because he made us accountable to the needs, like telling us, what did you accomplish in 2018? What are the goals for 2019? And that's gonna be public record so that you all can see how we're gonna be held accountable to the things that we put forward for this village. So when we talk about some of the initiatives we're gonna roll out, I'm real big on health initiatives, making sure we are healthy community, that we have access and resources. I don't know if many of you know that I sit on the Patient and Family Advisory Board for Loyola. I also sit on the Trinity Health System Board, and that's 26 hospitals across the country. So I'm real big on health initiatives, on how we look at gun violence and how we look at mental illness and how we look at well-being for ourselves. That's something our community deserves, as well as the people that work for us. So we're working with our Blue Cross Blue Shield to implement good programs for the employees and in the workplace. We want a healthy workplace, but we want a healthy community. Working with the Park District, we're getting ready to roll out the health initiative. So we've had a couple of meetings on what that's gonna look like. It's gonna be a real big event coming up in July, but that's through partnerships and working together and learning how to have a viable community. We want to live, eat, and play in Broadview. We don't want to go to Oak Park or Oak Brook or LaGrange to provide services because we can have it right here, but we have to set the standards and people have to see that we can work together. It's good to have dialogue and it's good to have good criticism, but at the same time, name calling, saying things unprofessionally and being uncouth in your statement is just absolutely ridiculous, not acknowledging your department heads, but you want to be called trustee. That is just the most unrespectful thing I've ever seen. I have literally two trustees, Trustee Ely and Trustee Brown Marino, who fails to acknowledge me accordingly and appropriately. We was at a meeting and Trustee Ely addressed me as what? That's very unprofessional and very disrespectful. So I'm talking to you. And so with that being said, I just want to acknowledge that April is the month of autism awareness. So this is the month that we acknowledge we have a partnership with the Answer Inc. and the Answer Inc. Services Family with Autism and Developmental Disabilities. And on May 5th, I co-chair the walkathon this year. And so I will have a Broadview team page. So if you go to the Answer Inc.'s website, you can register for the team. We are looking to raise money so that we can send kids to the Horseyback Camp for a week and so that we can provide the Saturday Spectrum University where they provide tutoring for those impacted with autism or developmental disability. I will be hosting my first tea party for girls. That's gonna be on April 21st, and it's for girls from ages 3 to 8. So we're gonna cater to all age groups. And then we'll have our Mother's Day brunch in May, and then we'll have video gaming for the boys ages 3 to 8. The date is to be determined. And we have so many activities going on for the seniors this year. We're gonna take them to the White Sox game. We're gonna go back to the zoo for the safari tour. And then those that's in the age group between the youth and the seniors, we working out with something with the Park District on how we can have a social for that population of people. But we want to have a well-rounded community. We want to have a vibrant community. So with that being said, I just wanna say, God bless you. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you all staying here with us this long. And, hopefully, some people can look up the definition of an RFP and an RFQ. Some people can look up what it means to be professionally. Some people can, learn how to supervise and manage people, because this is all management at a different level. We are here to legislate, and we're here to work with one another, I don't do the chief job at all. I don't do the police chief at all, but you know what? Every single month, we have department head meetings, every single month. And we hash out all our differences at that meeting, and we work together collectively, and we're getting some beautiful results out of these dialogues that we're having, just working together. So we hoping that we can just work together, get a budget passed when it's time to get passed. If it's anything that my office can provide to you all, we're here to be very transparent. I ran on the transparency, accountability, and integrity. And when we talk about political favors, we're not gonna talk about the money that Ansel Glink Law Firm made off the Village of Broadview because of Trustee Ely, Trustee Brown Marino had in place. So with that being said,
sideways, you know some of this gonna be coming back.
Can I get a roll call?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So it was properly motioned by Jones, seconded by Trustee Tierney. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Meeting is officially adjourned at 9:54 p.m.